Good evening. I'd like to call the regularly scheduled board meeting for May 12th, 2025 to order. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Ferguson.
Here.
Mrs. Washington.
Present.
Dr. Ballard.
Here.
Mrs. Nazario.
Here.
Mr. Sturgill.
Here.
If you'd all please rise for the pledge. The Southview Middle School group has a track meet tonight, so they won't be here. So with that, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any visitors? No, because they're not here. First hearing of the public. Enter and sign in, please, if you would. Okay. I would entertain a motion to amend or okay the minutes from the May 1st special board meeting.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
Any old business to attend to?
Yes, I would like to ask if you're prepared an update on the behavior meetings?
We were going to do a joint thing because I don't want to speak for the entire group. I'm looking at Julie now. But I think we've made, my personal opinion, we've made a lot of progress, identified a lot of obstacles, identified the fact that we have, and jump in, Julie, if I'm going to, that we have a lot of resources that we did not provide easy access to. So the plan right now is to get a flow chart, coach our teachers and staff members more on Panorama and how to initiate processes.
We have another meeting.
Thursday.
Oh, say it's Thursday, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Thursday this week.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, reports and recommendations of the treasurer.
I have item 8.01 for approval.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
It's always a pleasure to see all those donations, another 12 on the agenda. With that, reports and recommendations of the superintendent personnel matters.
I will defer to Ross May over there to give us a shout out.
Well, we just got some fantastic news this afternoon. So we have been recognized for the first time ever as a recipient of the NAM Award, which is given by the National Association of Music Merchants, as one of the 935 school districts in the country that are a best community in the nation for music education.
Wow.
So this is our first time winning it. Yep. I want to thank Angelo Cortica. He'll be at our next board meeting to talk in greater detail about it. He took the lead on this, and our music team, both vocal and instrumental. But just very briefly from the release, the program, the award recognizes rather and celebrates outstanding efforts by teachers, administrators, parents, students, and community leaders who have made music education part of a well-rounded education. Designations are made to districts and schools that demonstrate an exceptionally high commitment to and access to music education. Oberlin also received the award for the 13th consecutive year, and Avon received the award this year for the second year, and we joined that list in Lorain County as award recipients. So yeah, really, really, really exciting, and extremely proud of the work that our music staff have done, our families have done, the larger community has done.
Our students, they're just amazing.
Yep,
Absolutely
yeah,
amazing.
so really, really exciting momentum.
I
that
think
we're
I
going.
speak for the board when I say that thank you for leading that
Without a doubt. Yep.
100%. We
Oh, thank you.
appreciate it.
Got a great, great team.
Excellent. Thank you. Excuse me. I'd like to, first of all, before I make my recommendations, I'd like to pull 9.04 off. And that's a position that, based on the negotiated agreement with that union, we have to take board action to not fill a position. And I've had requests from board members for more information. So we can meet next time in executive session and get the questions that you have answered before we proceed. So I'd like the board to consider for approval 9.01 to 9.07, again, with the removal of 9.04.
Discussion.
I I would like to just say I'm happy to see Mackenzie Barraclough on the agenda. She was a Lady Titan, and she's pretty amazing. Love her. And Coach Thompson is on here as well, and happy to see him back.
Yes, he's been in and out for my 10 years here, but now he has stabilized himself in a teaching position, which is what he's always wanted.
Awesome. Yes.
And Ross, if you could, the names?
Yeah, you mind if I
Please.
read the names and where everyone's going? So we're really excited just with, the quality of people that we're bringing in. So Mackenzie Barraclough will be teaching 5th grade at Garfield. Jasmine Cochran will be 1st grade at Garfield. Julie Cook will be teaching preschool at Hawthorne. Sean Coughlin, 4th grade at Frank Jacinto. Alexis Albert, 3rd grade, Stephen DeHanas. Alexis, are you here tonight? Is Alexis here? Grace Evans will be teaching kindergarten at Tony Morrison. Megan Fote, music at GJW. There's Megan. Megan, welcome.
Welcome.
Congratulations. Glad to have you here. Thank you for coming tonight. A lot of awesome stuff going on with music.
Welcome to
That
the
time is
family.
great to be here. Kevin Goodwin will be teaching special education at Palm. Kara Krauscher will be teaching preschool at Admiral King. Emily Matakovich will be teaching 3rd grade at Stephen DeHanas. Lori Pyers Goodwin, special education at Palm. Kalina Radiff, 5th grade at Hawthorne. Cole Ramirez, 5th grade at Admiral King. Taya Rogers, 2nd grade at Tony Morrison. Sophia Schneider will be a speech and language pathologist across the district. Justin Susanjar will be teaching special education at Lorain High. Carla Tomlin will be teaching special ed at Larkmore. Adam Thompson, special education at Longfellow. Yanedi Vargas, kindergarten at Washington. Hannah Vieta, special education at Helen Steiner Rice. Melody Walker, 2nd grade at Hawthorne. And Miranda Wams, 3rd grade at Frank Jacinto.
Again, to all of you, welcome to the family. Some of you are repeat offenders. A couple names on there, people moved away and came back. And again, I think as a school district, I think that's just an incredible compliment. People had a choice to go anywhere. And the Goodwins, for example, were in Korea for some years, and then Panama for some years, and found their way back home. So again, to all of you, welcome.
I'd like to also say that with the retirements listed in 9.02, we are losing some good people, but it was only fair that we reopened that and gave them the opportunity to accept the incentive. Anything else? I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
I'd like the board to consider for approval items 10.01 to 10.18 operations matters.
So moved. Support.
Roll call, please.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
And I'd like for Ross to put up just a few slides to discuss the change in student day. Yeah, I was told it was 4, right?
Give or take.
Give or take. Ain't no take. We know that.
You want me to walk through? You want
Yeah,
to?
please.
Yeah, so just where we've left off and where we are now, you know the background with our surveys and what we've learned and studying other school districts. So to the point where we are now, our current instructional time at the elementary level is 6 hours and 15 minutes. And what we're proposing is to increase that to 6 hours and 45 minutes. And again, you can see we are one of the shorter school districts for instructional time in our direct neighbors and with community and private schools within the city. This would get us very much in line with other school districts and community school, charter schools, and private schools in the area. At the middle school, we
Ross.
do have the, yeah,
Addition is those are also schools that are in our new athletic conference
Yes.
as well. So just so we frame the graph.
Yep.
completely.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, again, we're comparing against those immediately surrounding us, so who we directly compete with for students. Some of the larger charter schools in the city, 2 of the parochial schools, and then our new athletic conference.
Well, I think that one of the questions to ask is, what about preschool? Are we apples to apples there, or where is that?
You wanna talk?
And actually, we took preschool off. Right now, the only thing we're recommending is K through 12, as we continue to learn more about preschool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For middle school, we currently have the shortest instructional time. When we compare, what we're proposing is to add 15 minutes to the instructional day. And that allows us to maintain the elective opportunities that we have in middle school and meet the high dosage tutoring requirement that will be coming our way, not just for us, but for all school districts in the state. For students in 6th grade next year, the following year, 7th grade, following year after that, 8th grade. And then for high school, we obviously have talked about the high school schedule before. You saw that several months ago. The increase of 5 minutes per day, we're pretty comparable to begin with. It moves the needle just a tiny bit. What this allows us to do is run the master schedule and Titan News as part of our day. So small adjustment in high school. And from a time sense, this is what we're proposing. So from when the buses would arrive to when instruction would begin to when students would dismiss, and then the difference in minutes. And so if we just work at high school across, we'd be pushing the day back 10 minutes. So buses would arrive at 7:20 instead of 7:10. Instruction would begin at 7:35 instead of 7:25. And then students would dismiss at 2:30. So 5 minutes difference for the high school day. At the middle school level, buses would arrive at 8:30 as opposed to 8:45. And instruction would start at 8:45 as opposed to 9 o'clock. And then dismissal would stay the same at 3:30. So an additional 15 minutes per day. And then at the elementary level, the start time would stay the same. So buses would still arrive at 8 o'clock. Instruction would still begin at 8:15. Students would now dismiss at 3 o'clock, so 30 minutes per day. And this allows us to make sure we can still run transportation. We need 30 minutes between. Currently, we only have 15 minutes between when the high school dismisses it, and then the elementary dismisses. So 2:15 for high school, 2:30 for elementary. So that'll clean that up a little bit as well. So then just with the adjustments at the elementary level, it does add 87 hours of instructional time over the course of the school year, which is the equivalent of 13.9 additional days, and then of instructional time. And then middle school, it's the equivalent of 43.5 additional hours, or 6.7 additional days per year. Our teacher contracted time stays the same. We're not lengthening teacher contract time, still 7 hours and 35 minutes. It's just what we do at that time, during the day that we're proposing.
And again, I want to apologize for the confusion in the process that we went through. And I asked Krista to send something out saying we're moving to this after meeting and talking to board members. But we agreed that it's appropriate. With our history, I think technically it's just a superintendent's job to make an assignment, what happens during the school day. But we've had quite a journey in my 10 years here, off and on. And I think it's important for us not to share the blame, but to make sure that we're on the same page moving forward. So that's the confusion was purely my fault. So I'd like to recommend the board approve item 11.01, other matters.
Discussion.
I have a question. It doesn't, it's sort of what happens inside of these hours. We had that email that we received from the student from the high school. If the vote is no, does that lock you out of what the possibilities at the high school is the question?
No.
That's a short answer.
I
Okay.
think that students had a one-on-one. I
Yep.
talked to a relative who works at the high school, and he said that, a relative of mine who works at the high school, and he said that he had met with her.
Yeah, we looked at that student's particular schedule, and she absolutely can get the classes that she needs. And so Ms. Cheers will be meeting with her,
Oh, we're talking about.
I don't even remember now, in the next couple days. But to walk through and just,
I believe I'm
reschedule.
meeting for two, yeah. So we'll,
Yep.
and again, if kids have questions, they're talking to the cameras in the community, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. We want to work with you. If there's stuff you need, share it, please.
I think it's important too, when we start talking about high school scheduling, there are always times where students have to make choices. This isn't different. The difference is, people are looking at it now because they may have had a certain thought of how it would work out prior to these changes. And I think that's our responsibility, Ms. Cheers and her team, responsibility to help the students understand that they will get the majority of the things that they wanted as in years past. And then there's, I think, room for some creativity too. You don't know what the actual needs are until you really drill down to the individual pieces. I was double booked, but I know there's also a meeting with counselors just to talk about how we walk students through the changes, students and their families. Yeah, that's an important piece too. This is an opportunity to really galvanize the relationship between counselor, student, and home, so that parents can be informed too. Because I know myself as a 16, 17-year-old, I may have brought home information and not known all the intricacies behind the scenes. It's our job to help close that gap a little bit too.
Yep.
So I just want to emphasize that we've always had choices. No one's ever necessarily, not nobody, but there's always been times where I want to do all of this. The day is this.
Right.
How do we plan this out?
And it's even more so now because we've added so many more course offerings. So now there's a lot more
That's the
competition.
thing too, right? That was my next
We-
point. It's like we have way more offerings now. too.
Right.
So that
Yeah, and it's,
increases the
we,
chances of not-
we are incredibly unique and have a tremendous strength in that you can graduate with an associate's degree and with career tech credentials and now take a number of really interesting electives. And so for this in particular student, we looked at a couple of others, what they requested with their electives were really great choices. And if you want to graduate with an associate's degree and career tech credentials, you can't take absolutely everything, and we are incredibly fortunate to be able to offer an early college to graduate with an associate's degree, career tech on our campus, so you have access to everything and the extracurriculars afterwards in a really convenient place, and a number of now really compelling electives. So we talked about exactly Michael's point about just the continuing dialogue with our students, with our families, that you have more options now than you've ever had as a high school student.
And I think there's one more important point. Having been in a couple different districts for a little short amount of time, what I also noticed is when we don't have to focus so much on credit recovery, we can spend time focusing on enrichment. So as we continue to grow as a district and we have less need for credit recovery, then students will have an opportunity to potentially take some acceleration in the summer. We've talked with our staff over the last 4 years about the importance of seeing students' assets, of putting them in a position where we're talking about acceleration and not talking so much about remediation and intervention. We get things right first time, which is a partnership. So I'm not placing blame on one side or the other. It is a partnership. Partnership to show up, partnership to make sure that we're getting the tier 1 instruction right the first time around, and then we have a less likelihood of having to have remediation. And to me, like, that's a part of this puzzle that's oftentimes not talked about, because we do so much remediation in the summer to give our students the opportunities, those second chances that they need. And that's not a fault of the system, but if we want to do all things, then something's got to give. And to me, like, the one thing that we couldn't help our students control is getting credits the first time around and not in a recovery mode.
Thank you.
I'm very glad with the schedule that we are waiting on preschool. We listen to the experts who, I will always say, we're not the experts of the classroom because we're not in the classroom. No one at this table has been in the classroom for many of years, if been in the classroom at all. So we should be listening to them. So I'm glad we did with preschool. Our behavior is still bad. Our attendance is still not great. I have asked if we can just hold off 1 year on this. You're saying we still don't have a behavior plan. What's going to happen?
I didn't-
We're still, I'm
Yeah,
saying we
have-
don't.
we do, yeah.
Well, we haven't got it. We haven't
Okay.
seen it. Teachers haven't got it. We don't know what it's like in the district, parents, nobody. We don't know for sure if it's gonna work. So we're gonna put kids in elementary for 30 more minutes into a classroom when historically, data shows, as the day goes on, behaviors get worse. Data does show that. So we're gonna have them in classes for longer. We don't know for sure about behavior plans yet, what they look like. Attendance is still a problem. We've tried things, it's still not working. So kids are going to miss out if they're missing one day. Now they're going to miss an extra 30 minutes for that day. So if they miss 15 days, they're gonna miss extra time. So if we could come up with better attendance, another different initiative to try for attendance, I guess that's still my problem is we're still putting kids in the class. And I have been asked, I have kids in the district. I have kids that would benefit. I have an elementary that would get 30 more minutes, a middle school that will get 15, and a high school that will get 5. Of course, I've been asked why I wouldn't want that. Of course I want that.
Well,
And the schedule would work better for me as a parent. This schedule would work better for me as a parent. But my job here isn't to do what's best for me as an adult. It's to do what's best for kids. I truly feel that. And for having kids in a class, I want my kids to be able to have uninterrupted education. And right now, with behaviors in some classes, that's not happening. So that's just my reservations still with the new schedule. I'm glad we've got the preschool figured out until we can answer questions. I just feel we still have questions to answer with this schedule.
just from a math standpoint, students who miss the same number of days will be getting more instruction next year than they will be this year.
I understand, but what I'm saying is, if they're missing an English lesson today that was 30 minutes long, or 30 extra minutes, say their reading was 30 extra minutes, and they're missing that extra 30 minutes. So we have kids who are missing whole weeks of school, okay? So now they've missed 2.5 extra hours of that reading lesson that they would have got. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No. Because we're by increasing the number of minutes of instruction, if I miss 10 days this year, I miss 10 days next year, I'm going to miss more minutes, but I'm also going to receive more instruction.
You are going to miss more minutes, so, but that's what
But I'm going to receive more instruction.
and that's going to raise, so our kids are going to miss more time though also. So we already have a chronic absenteeism problem. So now they're going to miss more minutes.
I guess I don't, I see it differently.
Yeah.
That
I guess,
by
like,
the
if
way,
you have a
by the
first
way you're
grader-
describing
yeah.
it, the way to keep kids from missing time would be reduce the school day, because then they wouldn't miss as much.
Well, we can't
I mean,
reduce- Yeah.
I'm being ridiculous to a
No,
point.
I understand. I'm saying if you have a first grader who they missed a whole week of reading, an extra 30 minutes of that reading is going to be, I guess it's more in elementary that it is a bigger deal, because it is 30 minutes. 30 minutes, and that's a lot of time to miss in a lesson, in my mind. As a teacher teaching a first grade lesson, if I have a kid that has missed a whole week, that's 2.5 extra hours of learning that they've lost.
Right.
Can
But every other week, they're getting an extra 2.5.
Yeah, but, yeah.
Can
So-
I be, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna be crazy, so if you wanna.
I just think, when I look at that, it's like opportunity. You're giving more opportunity for education. I mean, why would I not want the opportunity? I mean,
I've been asked that. Been asked that, why I wouldn't want that for my kids. Of course I do, but the behaviors right now, until we get them under control, I just feel that putting an extra 30 minutes isn't,
I think those are separate issues. I really think behavior is an issue by itself. Attendance is an issue by itself.
100%.
And do we have to yeah, we need to work on that, we need to solve that. Okay, I mean, you can't educate anyone if they're not in school. Okay? I understand that, but not offering this, I still think that, it's more opportunity to be successful.
Ms. Washington?
Can we do something a little crazy, and if there is any, would you guys be open to opening up the floor for 15, 20 minutes to get feedback from any of the educators in the room that might have feedback before we vote on this issue?
I think we had the first hearing of the public and didn't get any.
We did, but I don't think it would harm anything if we would do so.
I'm going to defer to more veteran hands than I. Dr. Ballard, is this?
I thought they
Okay,
did.
okay, here's what we're going to do. I need a motion to suspend the order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs.
Yes.
Washington. Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Now I need a motion to,
Nobody's going to do a second hearing, we don't need one.
we don't need a motion to go, just, okay, second hearing of the public.
I could ask, please, and I think that the meeting about 6 weeks ago, this is not aimed at any one person, people talked about children in a way that could have been interpreted as disparaging to our children and to their families, so just please choose your words carefully. Thank
And
you.
they were recognizable.
Yes, the parents called back and said you were talking about my kid.
Start
Okay,
a timer? 15 minutes?
Like 2 minutes. If you just give a quick.
I will be very quick.
Perfect.
Lindsay Larisha, I'm a teacher at Helen Steiner Rice. I guess I'm just confused because we're supposed to meet as a union, and I know with Ross tomorrow to talk about this stuff. So I didn't realize you guys were voting on it before we were talking as a union. So to me, this I wasn't prepared. I had a bunch of stuff from teachers in
Was
the
for
building that had questions, and not just for preschool, because I know we already went over this, and I appreciate the outcome of that. But for everybody else, they had concerns. I have a couple of emails that people wanted me to ask of you guys, and I didn't know this was being voted on today. I thought it was after the meeting with the building representatives.
Yeah, tomorrow's for staff,
Yeah.
start and end times, not students.
So, and I don't think we realized that. I don't think that was something that, since you didn't hear from the public, I guess. So I'm concerned about that,
Yeah, it
since
says.
teachers
I
did
don't know what
have
to tell you. It says
questions.
staff.
Yeah, so I think adding the additional 30 minutes at the end of the day for elementary school is, like Courtney said, that's more opportunity for behaviors. And if we don't have that plan, which I haven't seen, I'm a part of the behavior review board, and I was a part of the behavior meetings for a while. I'm not sure where that went, but we haven't seen anything. Attendance is terrible, so getting that under control first, I think, would be a great idea before we extend the amount of time that the kids are going to be in class. But that's all I have to say, I guess. Thank you.
Julie Garcia, LEA President. Yeah, one of the things that we did question was the start times for the staff, so we are having a meeting tomorrow. We have one representative from each building to speak with Ross, and we're going to talk about that. And then back to the behavior group, we have been working on that. We are working on flow chart like Dr. Graham spoke about, because one of the things that was lacking is communication. We have all these services, but we just don't know how to access them. So we're working on getting that information out. We haven't put anything out yet because there really isn't anything to put out yet. We're still working. But I do have a question. Courtney, I agree with you. Adding time at the end of the elementary day does extend, the opportunity for things to happen. But I do have to wonder, you identified that behavior is a problem. We're working on that. You've identified that attendance is a problem. But I've been to a lot of board meetings, and there has been no discussion about attendance, about any suggestions about what to do. So is that going to be something that's going to be addressed? Because we're addressing times, we're addressing behaviors, but attendance is also something that hasn't been addressed. So I put it to the board, what is it that's going to be addressed, if something's going to be addressed about attendance?
Hi, I'm Katie Vellamerov. I'm an 8th grade teacher in the district, and kind of to Courtney's point, we have students who are chronically late. I'm talking 5 days a week, probably missing first and most of second period. Adding 15 minutes onto our beginning of our day, they're still going to be missing those 15 minutes at the beginning of the day, 4 to 5 days a week. I can probably name at least 10 kids between a couple of 8th grade classes on our team that we're speaking of. So the 15 minutes for them, they're still missing it. It's not changing the kids that we really need to reach that are chronically absent and failing multiple classes.
Mr. Ross, can you please put the start time on the, thank you.
I do have a question for this open period as people continue to come up, and you requested educators to speak. Is that all educators? Yeah. Okay. I just have
Hi.
to get into.
Can I come?
Hi, Gina.
I'm Gina Dury. I've taught in this district 27 years, and currently I'm third grade at Admiral King. And my question is, you have that our instruction is beginning at 8:15. It begins at 8 o'clock. We have kids coming in our room working at 8 o'clock. So I don't know why it says 8:15.
It's when
That's
yeah,
instructional time.
when the tardy bell rings, so when buses
But
drop
then
off.
why am I teaching from 8 to 8:15? I'm doing it. How many people here are doing it? I mean, we're there, the kids are there, we have work out for them, they're doing things. I mean, if that's the case, then they shouldn't be coming in our room till 8:15. I mean, because for me, that's planning. I plan every day for what I'm doing, my bell ringer, what they're gonna be doing. There's always something on their desk. You can come in at any time. They're not just walking around in circles or something. We don't do breakfast in the room anymore. That's done in the cafeteria. So they're coming in at 8 o'clock, they're sitting down, they're getting to work. So we have an additional 15 minutes a day right there. And I just think I do dismissal every day for free. I don't get paid. I do dismissal. And I'll be the first to say I won't be doing dismissal anymore because we dismiss at 2:30. At 2:55, we have between 15 to 20 kids sitting in our gym still waiting to go home. And Courtney sees it, and we're standing there with them. That's my time I'm giving up. So there is no way that we could possibly not have more time added to our day, which you say we're not going to do, and release at 3 o'clock and have teachers go home at 3:15. Virtually impossible.
And how many teachers help with dismissal at Admiral King on a given day? To
We
make
have
a
at least
safe
6 to
dismissal.
8, and there's no way. And then you have all the teachers who do the after-school clubs, which are so amazing, from chess club to gym club, student council, all those things. If these teachers have to wait to begin until that time, I can tell you right now, all those clubs will be gone. Because a lot of those teachers live in Parma. I mean, our piano teacher, she lives out in Cleveland area. They're not gonna stay they're just not gonna do it. There'll be no one that'll volunteer for that. And I mean, you say about stipends and everything, but it comes out to be like $300, $400 after taxes and everything else they take out. People are not gonna do that. So maybe our kids are getting a few minutes extra, but really, they're gonna lose out on a whole lot more. They really are. But that was my biggest thing when I saw 8:15. No, we start at 8. So if we're gonna go to 8:15, our kids should not be coming in our room then till 8:15. Thank you.
Is that, my question is that at every building?
Elementary building.
It is?
That's when the tardy bell rings.
What's that?
That's when the tardy bell rings.
What is when the tardy bell rings?
8:15 is when the tardy bell rings.
So, what time do the buses arrive?
8 o'clock is when they're.
7:45.
Okay, so, 7,
Yeah, I mean, we're all working at 8 o'clock.
that,
Yeah, kids are in our room, we are supervising them. I mean, it's not
that seems like it's a problem to me,
Yeah.
that we don't have a consistent,
So one of the things that this helps address is the time, the start time and the end time with transportation in the middle. So if you look now at LHS dropping off at 7:10 and then elementary at 8 o'clock, they have time right away to get to the elementary routes, and some do drop off early.
We're
On
gonna
the-
shorten it now, though.
Right, and so that should help with that early drop-off. On the back end, to Gina's point about dismissal, we are scheduled not to be successful right now with dismissal, with ending at 2:15 at the high school to dismiss, and then elementary 15 minutes later. We need 30 minutes in between. We have 15 right now. So we are scheduled to have a problem with our dismissal between the high school and the elementary dismissal.
And all these things help with the transportation part, but Gina, to your point, where we went, oh, there we are. To your point, that after-school stuff, sometimes there are delays, and we would have to look at potentially doing stipends for dismissal, which we've done in the past.
Well, and I'm gonna say before school as well, if we're using planning time to supervise children, you know, something needs to be developed there, no matter what schedule we're on.
Just so, longtime principal, did a lot of middle school time, and I know middle school and elementary is different. But I do want to say, like, from our spectrum, we would have kids, let's say our tardy bell was at 9 o'clock. Kids would be in the school at 8:50. Sometimes I was in their cafeteria with them at 8:30. So kids started getting to classes at 8:50. That was a thing that we all knew. Some would be at their lockers, some would be in the classroom. At that point, we had breakfast in the classroom. They would be eating breakfast. Everyone was on a rotating in and out. Teachers had themselves in the doorway, kind of looking. So I think we can get to the root of what's going on at the elementary a little differently. Kids showing up at 8 o'clock to what I believed was the practice of what I've seen in some places. Yeah, they are getting to the classroom, but I've seen doors close at 8:15 to say, all right, this is, it's not an open entry into the building, then you have to sign in to the main office. So I have seen that practice at many schools, and I know I've been known to kind of be around in the mornings. So, I would like to say I can see that practice happening. Now, I admire and applaud folks that would say, hey, I've got this time, these kids are here, I'm gonna start the day. That's kudos. So I don't want to seem as though that's not an appropriate thing or a thing that's frowned upon. The reality is the main office are closing doors at 8:15 relative to the tardy piece. Now, we can change that, but there's still going to be that time from when students get into the building to when they get into the classroom. And we have to make sure that we're accounting for that. So if instruction begins at 8:15, we can't just open the doors at 8:15. You got to open them early so they can do all those things. And I know it's a little bit longer, probably at the elementary piece, than it is at the middle and high. But I guess I need to hear a little bit more about what's going on in particular buildings, because everything I've seen is that tardy doors are closing at 8:15, and that's when they're starting.
Can I say something here about that just for a second?
Please.
But I think it's a little different in a middle
Hold
school
on,
because-
excuse me,
Oh,
Gina,
sorry.
come back to the mic so that it's on the audio.
I just think it's a little bit different in a middle school because they're like teenagers. I mean, what are you gonna do with a 7-year-old? You have to be doing activities with them and teaching them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know in middle schools and high school, they get 2 to 3 minutes for whatever it is to change classes, shut the door, you're done. But that's not what it's like in an elementary school. I mean, we're meeting them at the door, we get them in there, we're starting them on work. I mean, our Title I teacher, she's getting them at 8 o'clock in the alcoves already teaching them to get all her classes in. So I just don't think I feel like we should add that 15 minutes in for instructional time. And then, you add that 15 minutes in for instructional time, you could technically go to 2:45 instead of 3. Then you still get your half hour at the end of the day to release kids. Because, I do believe that we are teaching at 8. I've had speech therapists in my room at 8. I've had spec ed teachers in my room at 8. I've had all of them because they need to get their minutes in the day. And so they're there. They're taking the kids. They're learning. That is our instructional time. So I just think that I think coming from someone who's taught grades kindergarten through 8th, there's such a huge difference between the little people and the big people. You can't leave them alone for 5 seconds. You have to constantly be doing something with them. My teaching partner, she has centers going as they're coming in. They are trained, they know exactly which center to go to, what to do. They're learning it. And we tell parents this all the time at conferences. When your kid's 5-10 minutes late, it's not a no big deal. They're losing instruction time. So, it's just what we do there, I guess.
Hi, Karen Rossi, kindergarten teacher at Tony Morrison. I think on paper, extending the day sounds fantastic and like it's a no-brainer. But elementary, I agree with everything Gina said. We are in our rooms, we are prepared, and we are teaching, whether it's social skills, whether it's pen to paper, whether it's centers. We are there, and the kids are getting educated one way or the other in elementary. We can't leave them alone, and it hasn't worked where they all go to the cafeteria and eat breakfast. That hasn't worked in years in elementary schools. Again, it just seems we want quality over quantity, and I agree with what Courtney was saying. They are little kiddos, and their behavior is very, very important in their social skills. Right now, I mean, all the elementary teachers I know are busting their behinds to teach them the proper way to get along with kids and to be a team player. And we're struggling, as we all know. And another thing is I have taught in another district, and for elementary teachers in other districts, most of them, there are paraprofessionals that take the kiddos out for recess. In Lorain City Schools, we take our kids out for recess. It's one-on-one. I mean, I'm in charge of my 26 kids. We don't double team. We don't do anything like that. In other districts I know, it was always a para, so I had extra prep time. And I don't know how, as a teacher, we can effectively, with high quality, teach a half hour every day extra, but lose a half hour prep time. We are not middle school, we are not high school, we are elementary. And what we do is quick, fast. We do 10-minute centers, 10-minute activities. I don't ever eat a lunch every day at all because I teach kindergarten. So I'm prepping for my math centers during my lunchtime. So I think on paper, yes, it sounds great. Let's keep the kids here longer. But in reality, for elementary, I feel like it's not going to be quality, and we're already struggling, as we know, with high class sizes. And it's all about the students. What is best for the students? Thank you.
Hi, Barb Bowman. I'm a high school teacher, 10th grade, and I know we don't hear a lot from the high school. There isn't that many big changes right now. But from the high school, from what has been told to me and asked to bring here, is they're concerned about the sports. That we are now traveling much further than we ever have, and now we're going to be getting out later. And if you want more time with buses, shouldn't we be leaving at 2:15 instead of 2:30? Because the kids who leave to go to these sporting events miss their entire last period now. So they can't miss that many last periods. We don't rotate and teach something else during the last period. So if you have math and you're in 2 or 3 sports, you're going to be missing a lot of class and a lot of instruction time. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is that does happen in the high school too. They release the kids at 7:15 in the morning, and we don't start till 7:25. So, and they have 10 minutes to roam the hallways or do whatever they do. They also release them from lunch more than 5 minutes early. So I have to be back at least 5 minutes early for lunch, and we're already only given 25 minutes instead of a half an hour. So the times that those things happen need to be addressed. And I know in the high school they've already addressed trying to stagger the lunches, and I know some things in place. But I agree with a lot of the things that are being said here, that it's really hard to know what goes on if you're not there. So thank you for listening to us. We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, I've had 2 questions sent to me. The first one is, if we are contracted to work the 7 hours and 35 minutes, if we dismiss at 3 o'clock, that only gives us 15 minutes to get our rooms cleaned up and dismissal. So who would be doing dismissal, which apparently we're going to talk about tomorrow, but that's one that I said I would read. Next one is when we do C3T meetings, RTI meetings, ETR meetings, elementary teachers are already strapped for time. When should we do those meetings?
I did ask that question, and you said that they get, in their contract, you have to do one a month, is that correct? You told me?
One what?
No.
I think it's one a month, so
Okay.
that's.
One a week.
One a week, that's what I meant, I meant a week, that's what I meant a week.
C3 team
I'm
is
sorry.
one of we.
Yeah.
No, well, I'm saying, yeah,
Right, so let, each group has a different requirement.
well, I meant
of
the,
how
I
much
meant the
time it is.
teacher one was one a week.
So I think the concern is that right now, elementary, we're in at 7:40, kids come at 8 o'clock, kids come at 7:40, I'll be honest, in my room.
Especially in preschool, you have
7:40.
to get them, yeah.
And then we're only there till 3:15, and if we're dismissing at 3, that gives us 15 minutes. So no matter what day of the week we're expected to do C3T meetings, then we wouldn't have enough time. And then ETR meetings and RTI meetings and IEP meetings, if that's not something that we have a chunk of time to do, those are an hour. When would we be expected to do that? Would that be our planning time? Do we time card for that? How does that look?
I know we're not jumping into everyone, but I
I'm
think this
just,
is one that
those
could
were
be
questions
answered.
sent, so I'm
I'm
just trying
seeing,
to.
I'm seeing Mr. May write those down, I assume from
Yeah,
the meeting
So if you guys
tomorrow.
want us to answer.
I-
that.
no,
Yeah, I
I-
do, because I think that this is gonna end up costing the district money. I've heard a couple things, I'm sorry, quickly, because this is my question, I've asked this question and I really didn't get an answer. I was told that we would have 2 teachers that would get supplemental for dismissal. Okay, if 8 do it now safely, because you have a front door and a back door, and you have there's no way 2 could do it. At least the way where my kids go to school and elementary, 2 that couldn't do it. But that's gonna cost us money. If teachers are going to have to time card for IEP meetings, if we're taking away their plan time at the end of the day, we can't expect to take away their plan time in the,
Well, Mrs.
during
Murray,
the
I
day.
want to
Please.
respectfully.
Yeah, please.
So, contract defines what plan time is. And each level, they have a allotted amount of plan time that occurs during the instructional day, is what our contract language speaks to. So, the debate here is more so about who owns the time when students are not receiving instruction, and what's the responsibility of staff. And I think we've kind of engaged in that conversation, and that's one that I've been a teacher now in 23 years. I think that's been a conversation. 23 years I've been around. And dismissal, this is an interesting piece, because honestly, I haven't had, and I've been a principal in this district for a while, I haven't had to have a battle about what happens for dismissal. Whether it was keeping the hallways, making sure secondary, make sure your hallway was clear, or if I asked someone to come outside, like, and this is different district too, so like, I was able to assign people spots when I was in Oberlin, and I saw the same thing happen again. So here's your spot, here's your spot. It was a responsibility. It wasn't so there was duty language that's in the contract, there's planning period that's in the contract. So I think that we need to really make sure that people are getting what they need according to the
Right.
contract, and recognize that there have been some times where other parts of the day were not managed. But does that necessarily mean that management didn't have the rights to say, here's some things that can be done? I use those terms just because we were talking contract. Honestly, healthy spaces interact differently than unhealthy spaces. So I guarantee if we were to go across the district and have different conversations with folks, there are some folks that are doing dismissal, like you said, right? Without necessarily having to be as prodded or assigned. They see a need, there's conversation with the admin, and they figure it out. That's how I've operated all my years as a principal.
Mr. Scott, really quick to interrupt you, they are right now, that's what she's
Right.
saying, they are.
And-
But
Right.
if the day ends at 3 o'clock, dismissal is not done in 15 minutes.
Right.
So then they would be working for free, and I don't think we should expect our teachers to work for free. I don't expect anybody to work for free in this district.
Right.
So if that's what they're saying is, and that's when I had talked to Jeff about this, and he agreed, and he said that we would give like two teachers per district or per school could get a supplemental for this.
Coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
Right.
But what I'm saying is it takes more than 2. And while our teachers right now are doing it out of the goodness of their hearts every day, yes, during their time where they could be in their room cleaning up, getting ready for the next day, they're taking a half hour a lot of days to do it. That was my question.
And,
They are doing
Our,
that.
our dismissal will be a lot cleaner at elementary because, again, right now, we dismiss at 2:15 at the high school, and it is impossible to do the route in 15 minutes and then be at the elementary school at 2:30.
Those are just buses,
Those
though.
are just buses.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's a part of this conversation too where we can continue to ask our families to help us level up. Change doesn't happen if we stay grounded in the status quo. So we've recognized that, one, our staff does a hell of a job with our kiddos. Two, they're caring and this environment is conducive for our students. Three, some of our students come in with gaps and we've been a value-added district, so every year they're with us, we've shared that data. So you combine all those things, the human element in me says, why wouldn't we try? And then recognize that every time that there's been an issue with things, we've brought people to the table and we've helped, we've tried to problem solve. No one on this table has run away from having the conversation with folks and trying things. That is the nature of continuous school improvement. We aren't where we want to be, but man, if we could just lean in and try something different. And in this case, we're saying our students, more time with us would benefit. And I understand the argument around the attendance and those pieces. That's another cry to our community, a call to action to say, bring your babies to school. Help us help them. If we continue to live in the deficit place, we can never see the assets of the students and the families that are there. Because while we might have 52 to 54% right now that are chronically absent, there's 48% that also are not. So, I brought up the contract earlier. The conversations have been a lot about, can we do this without violating? Because we do respect the employees and their rights and what's bargained and negotiated. And I think anytime that it's come up, that we've been able to have conversations and reach resolutions. And sometimes those resolutions have to go through multiple layers, but that's what a contract is built for, to ensure that there's a process in place for these things. So I would ask everyone to consider, is this a violation? Are we the place where our students are benefiting because of the expertise that we have? And then can we commit to continuously analyzing and being in this place where continuous school improvement is the norm and not the exception? That's what I'm asking for all of us to consider as we have these conversations. Not invalidating any points along the way. But our children and our staff are asking for more. We've been in this place where we've asked for more and we've asked for different things. Trying something different here. I'll go back to when we were in COVID. We didn't think we could do what we did then. We got together, we listened, we talked together. Was it perfect? No, but was that in a constant state of improvement along the way? Yes. At the end of the day, we were asked to keep staff and students as safe as possible. We met that challenge collectively. That's the ask again for this. We can continue and go down a list of why it can't happen or why it can't work, but can we also say why it can happen and why it can work, and then look at the benefits that our students would gain from if it did work, if we just dreamed a little bit differently and it did work. And maybe kids do come to school more. Maybe the behaviors do go down because guess what? We've got more time to work on the SEL components. Our counselors have more time with students. Maybe. But when have we just closed our minds to things and said, no, it can't happen? If that was the case, we would have never did remote learning for as long as we did. We would have came back full time because we couldn't do that.
I think
But we stood up and we showed out. Y'all stood up and you showed out, and it made it happen. That's my only plea.
I agree. I agree with you, and I think as a board, we have been very supportive, and the music, and it has worked great, and it has, and we've supported. This is just something that we have questions, staff has questions, and I have asked, you didn't bring them to the table. You didn't bring them. You say, like, you didn't bring
did a
elementary
survey.
teachers.
We surveyed
to-
everyone.
We surveyed them all.
Right, but we talked to preschool, we surveyed preschool teachers too, but you brought the preschoolers, teachers to the table, and we were able to see, we had some questions to still answer.
I never want to throw anyone under the bus, so I won't. I just think there are representatives for a reason, and oftentimes communication is had there, and if people don't get the answers that they want through that representation, it's hard to say we haven't listened or we haven't leaned in. Sometimes people aren't going to like the answers that they get.
So the answer to this question, then, what should I tell this person about doing all the meetings? Will that
So-
be time carded during their,
Well,
So
I
I would
think-
say this,
planning
C3
period?
I'll answer the C3 one, because that's
Mhm.
an easy one. Contract speaks to how we can have, if it's not during the plan time during the day, there's we have
Tuesday-
an
Tuesdays.
hour obligated, a staff meeting in which 40 minutes have been allocated for professional learning communities. That's how we would continue if it couldn't happen during the school day.
No different than what we
And
do
that's
now.
once a week.
Yeah.
I think it says in the contract currently Tuesdays, but once again, healthy relationships within a particular building, you might say Wednesdays or Thursdays, depending on the healthiness of said building.
and then conducting IEP meetings and ETR meetings?
No
and-
different than now. If it goes beyond the school day, we encourage you to time card. It happens all the time now.
So it will go beyond the school day then, because I don't know any IEP meetings that are ever done in 15, 20 minutes? So then is that something that we would time card for?
Yes, we
Okay.
do that now.
Okay,
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to be able to give answers,
Mhm. No,
because if we
appreciate
have 20 minutes at the beginning of the day and 15 minutes at
Mhm.
the end of the day, I'm not gonna call a parent back, and it's very hard to get, a whole team of people together in 20 minutes to try to do a meeting, and then meet back at the end of the day for 15 minutes to do the meeting. So if we're time carding, I just want to be
Sure.
able to give
No,
answers.
thank you.
So I think there is a belief out there, I could hear the rumblings, that some folks may not have time carded. Once again, I would ask you to speak to your various representatives and say, if you are asked to do a task that is, and I mean, there's conversation, folks. And then
Yeah,
the
talk to your
principal
principals.
didn't know, they would then reach out to their supervisor and ask the question, and then that's kind of how the process would work. But to just say, I didn't do it, and I wasn't offered the opportunity to do it, okay, then we need to lean in there. But I haven't seen that.
Can I bother 1 second? And you've been amazing. I just want to say thank you for being amazing when I'm not. We have met our 30 minutes. I just wanted to say it. And of course, I want to listen to everybody, but I just wanted to say that so you don't accuse me of doing wrong stuff like I usually do. Thank you. Thank you.
Let's ask these last two people to be brief, and we'll hear them.
Mark Verbansik, I'm a teacher in the district. Thank you for hearing us out. I do think there was a communication between tomorrow's meeting today, so I think that's why everyone wanted to speak out. I'm lucky enough that I work with K-12 teachers. I'm a cast member, so I go to all 14 buildings. I talk to a lot of teachers on the daily basis. So I'm going to go real quickly, each grade band. High school, I think Ms. Bowman answered some questions. The 5 minutes isn't really a whole lot of a change. I think it's the shift of change and the new schedule that's more of a concern there. So I'm not going to comment too much on the high school. Ms. Bowman, I think, already spoke to that. Middle school, that's my true heart and home. The 15 minutes, once again, I don't think the staff is really like 15 minutes. That's going to make a huge thing in our day. The major concern that I heard, like Ms. Nazario said, was the behavior issues. More time with the students, more behavior issues until those are under control. There's a lot of worries with that. The other one is the high intensity tutoring that this 15 minutes is supposed to allow. And Michael Scott, I might be wrong, but this is more like Titan time, where like a 30-minute interval at some point. Working in the middle school, that time sometime was used wonderfully by teachers, and other times it was like a study hall. So my real concern with that extra 15 minutes is how that time's going to be structured and evaluated, I guess. I don't know if that's proper terms. How it's going to be made sure that it's used for high intensity. By definition, high intensity is like small groups, not like classes of 30, 35 for 30 minutes. So that's the middle school concern that I've heard. Elementary planning time, contractually wise, I believe it's 45 minutes. Same as middle school, but elementary, remember, you have to walk the kids to their itinerant, you have to walk them back, that takes 10 minutes. Lunch, they walk them down, walk them back. Elementary, I think, gets the least amount of plan time out of all the districts, which, as a middle school teacher, I was not aware of that until I was in this role, on how much that is kind of abused. So that time before and after school is really crucial. Adding that half hour takes half hour away from their time to set up their lessons, their learning centers, making the cute little arts and crafts things for all their kids. So that I know is a huge concern, but I think we have enough elementary staff that spoke on that. So that's all thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Julie Garcia. So I have a question. If we include the 8 o'clock time into our minutes for the elementary, that adds 15 minutes that weren't accounted for. Then we could only add 15 minutes at the end of the day, which would be like a bit of a compromise, because in the elementary building, when I left the elementary classroom, kids got their breakfast, came in, they were in my classroom at 8 o'clock and we were working. They were eating breakfast and they were working, or they were working. So the ladies are right. They do start at 8 o'clock. So can we include that into our time and actually count those minutes? That would make our time, ending time, maybe 15 minutes earlier. That gives the people back some time at the end of the day to prepare all those things and clean up our rooms, you know, I mean, wiping down things and picking up and throwing away. Just a suggestion.
I make a motion to get back on track.
With all that being said, we are right back where we were to 11.01,
And
correct?
if I could, Mr. President, based on a couple of questions, and I never want to be accused of not working and listening to others and coming up with better solutions, I am willing to pull this for this meeting and put it on the next board meeting and get you the answers that you need, and the answers that they deserve.
And that saves me asking
Just
him to
kidding.
do so. So with that, we have any new business? Committee reports and requests from board members. Our next board meeting will be May 27th, which I believe is not a Monday because of Memorial Day. So it will be a special meeting on May 27th. Those of you that tune in to the whole series, mark your calendars. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
And again, I just want to thank everybody for your candor. I want to thank everybody at this table. And again, we clearly don't always agree on everything, nor should we. You probably heard me say it before, if every board member is supposed to agree with every other board member, we don't need one. And if they always agreed with me, we wouldn't need any. So again, I appreciate the fact we can have a healthy conversation, not necessarily agree on every point. But at the end of the day, hopefully come up with more information and get to a point where we can make some decisions. So I'm just saying, thank you.